Hello YouTube, Tim here. I've taken the drilled holes and I've just taken pieces of scrap sandpaper, folded it up like so, and used it to sand the edges, to straighten things out, make it look nicer, and that's really it. There you go. So now you have knocks that are smooth and ready for strings. At this stage you could string the bow up and test it and see exactly what it would draw, which is a great idea. However, there's one more thing I'd like to do before we get to that point. Since we have the coping saw right here, let's go ahead and cut the ends off. That is the very tips of the Siyahs. This is going to be a rather short radius, because normally I do a very graceful cut from the base all the way up to the tip. You can, there's nothing wrong with that, but in this case I'm going to make a cut from just about here, about 2 inches down if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, almost perfectly. 2 inches down to the end. So let me situate it so I can make the cut and that you can see. Okay, I'm set there. I'm going to lower you down for a better perspective. How is that? Pretty good? Alright. So now, like I said, 2 inches in. That makes right there. Right on the leading end of the S. One way you can do this is you can brace it. I like this. Brace it in the hole. Let me move the camera again. You can brace it in a hole like this, and that allows you to push, and you're not having to worry too much about it slipping or moving. The initial cut I make very shallow like this. I usually use my thumb as a guide. And really, you're just almost scraping off the surface, because you haven't even cut through the wall. And you're not going to for a little while. Eventually, you will. So if it slips, just go back and keep on working on it. I think we want to be a little more aggressive in this. Okay, now that I've cut how I want, I'm going to move it again and cut all the way through to the tip. Still in the lens? Okay. Sorry I keep moving around, but it's hard trying to find the most advantageous position to cut. Now we're almost done. I'd really like to be able to keep cutting here so I could show you. There you go, that's pretty darn good. Okay, I'm not really happy with that curve, but it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to clean it up with a file. So, there you go. Fairly broad but attractive Siyahs. You can make them much thinner if you like. Again, start the cut nearer the base and simply trim it. You can do that, that's fine. I like this. In this particular bow, this is the way I wanted it. And it's going to look a little different once I heat and reshape things, just a touch. But that's, again, for another day. Again, 2 inches in. And it's helpful to have the letters here because now we know, again, 2 inches is right on the leading edge, or the trailing edge, rather, the end of the S. Perfect. So I'll start it just like I did before. Making a very shallow cut. Almost a scrape across the surface. Finally coming in. And as you reach the knock, it's starting to angle forward. Moving down here so I can continue cutting. Nice. Okay, very, very similar profile, which is exactly what we want. Now I'll clean that up with a file, just for comparison. You can see the two cuts. Very, very similar, very, very close. that's good. If the scraps look the same, the actual Siyahs should look pretty much the same. Now, to clean up the Siyahs, to round them off, make them more attractive, at least with regards to the edges that I just cut, take a file, and I like, again, bracing it somewhere like this. Let me move you a little bit. That should be better. And start on the edges, working like this. You see how here in the lip, where it was flattened and cut, it flares out a little bit? I like to just take that tip off. Okay, so that's a good start. Let's see if I'm still in the lens. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. So you see I'm taking a lot of material off at a sharp angle, including down beyond where the cut began. We want to fade into the cut, and this is a good way to do it. Now, one side of this is notched. That side can be used to take material off a little more aggressively. Just be careful not to do it too much or to leave too many too deep grooves. Since we're going to be making a wood grain bow, that shouldn't be an issue. Let's go and try and do the other side now. I don't know if I've done this on camera too much before, if I've actually showed how I shaped the Siyahs. If I have, it's been a while. So I'm glad that I can do that now, because I know just in the last year, or 6 months really, I've picked up over 2,000 subscribers. So there are lots of people who probably haven't seen stuff like this unless they've been digging into my older videos, my archives. And since I have no idea what you guys are watching in specific, or any individual terms, I know in aggregate what you guys watch, but I don't know what any individual has seen. This might be helpful. I certainly hope it is. Let's just look on the other side. Yep, just needs to have more material taken off here. So, using the edge, digging in a little bit, I should be able to do that pretty quickly. Occasionally tapping just to clean it out. And occasionally running up and down the side just to smooth the angle out and any edges. And also, you see all this stuff inside? Just run inside the pipe. Whoops, you didn't see. Okay. Anyway, if you have material left over from the cut, just stick the file inside and rub it like that. You can get most of it out in one good swoop, and then you can clean it up with a file. Sorry if my hand's in the way right now, I'm just almost done. Looking really good. All I'm doing is I'm correcting the curve now. I'm just looking at it from the side like this to make sure that the curve is pleasing. If there's a sharp edge or something that I don't like, I'll go in and I'll fix it. I'll tweak it just by sanding away gently on the side until it looks good. Something else I like to do is take the filed edge, the side of that, and go into the back here and file down a little bit. That cleans up the edge here and will make it a little bit easier just to, if you were cutting this further down, eventually to seal it off and to create a little groove there for the string to lay in. Okay, that's ready. All I would do now is I'd take some sandpaper and I would clean up the edge a little bit just by rubbing it in, just like you'd expect. Nothing really spectacular. No secrets here. That's it. You know, I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side. I'm going to take a nice new piece of sandpaper and clean the inside like that. And then once this is all done, we can test the bow, see what it draws, and then I can go and sand the whole thing and adjust it, because we're aiming for 20 pounds, 28 inches. Whether we'll get there or not, I do not know. But this has been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed seeing it, and thank you for watching, YouTube.